Hello again, everybody. I'm Scott Murray. Great to have you along.
Hi, I'm Dr.NinaRiosDoria, and welcome to Conversations of Connection, Mental Wellness in Sports and Life.
And last week, we had a wonderful guest, our inaugural guest.
Yes. Yeah.
The daughter of Pro Football Hall of Famer Roger Staubach, Michelle Staubach, was in the house. And she was just tremendous, the message that she shared and some of the issues she's had to overcome in her life.
She absolutely was. What I loved about her story is that she was just so real and authentic and transparent. And I just feel, and my hope is that her story really resonated with the people watching today.
And I think really, Nina, the thing that really pleased me probably more than anything is the fact that I watched her grow up. I've known her the better part of her life. And yet now her number one concern is certainly to make sure she as an individual can move forward in a positive, productive way, but that her family will also do that. But she cares about others out there.
Right.
And so she's now sharing this message with the general public, which a lot of people don't do.
No, it's hard to be that courageous and share your personal story to everybody, and especially being that her father's in the public eye.
Absolutely.
And to share her story. And I just really admire her, and just grateful that she was on our show.
Her mom and dad are longtime friends. I've known them for over 40 years, Roger and Marianne Staubach, just two of the nicest people on the face of this earth. And they have supported her as well. And that isn't always the case, is it?
No, we talked about that too, not having that support, but when you do, what a difference it can make. And I'm looking forward to our next guest and also him sharing his story about that as well.
Well, you're talking about the next guest. Also happens to be from the world of football. Yep. And also, you think about a guy named Tom Brady. Oh, gosh, he's got those 7 Super Bowl rings. Right. Well, before Tom Brady ever had 1 Super Bowl ring, there's a fellow by the name of Charles Haley that has 5 of those Super Bowl rings.
Wow.
How about that? 2 with the San Francisco 49ers, 3 with the Dallas Cowboys in 92, 93, 95. And he's a guy that I've gotten to know since he came to town back in the 90s, and delighted to welcome him today. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Scott? What's up, Doc? How y'all doing today?
Well, we're doing fine. How are you doing?
Well, I hurt my back. Other than that, everything has been peachy keen.
Well, that's good.
Nothing stops you. You're here. Yeah.
I'm a truck.
And in this last year or year and a half that we've all endured with this COVID-19 pandemic, has that been like nothing we've ever been a part of in our life? Certainly, but crazy, huh?
Yeah. The worst part is cooped up. That loneliness, not being able to talk to other people, not being able to hug. I'm a hugger, so I like that. And it was just shut down. It shut everything down, and so as a guy with a mental illness, the people you attack are your people at homes, and so because that's who you shut up with, and so it hasn't been really good there. So I had to finally just I wanted everything to go my way, and I had to let it go, and then I found peace again.
Good for you. Good for you. And I think that's so important. People have to realize they do have to let it go. If you're going to be, as I said a minute ago, positive and productive and move forward in a purposeful way, you got to say, okay, enough. I got to let it go. Yeah, and being cooped up, as you said, in the confines of just, I'm sure you've heard that from other people, have you not?
Yeah, I've heard that I'm going to let it go, but it's really letting it go. Like you were able to say, I'm going to let it go, and then actually he did do it. Yeah. But so many people are like, I need to let it go. I need to let it go, or I can't let it go. But for you, it seemed like I just had to make that decision to let it go.
That's what it is, right? You make that mental decision that, you know what, it's I can't control it. Yeah. So for me, I have to the way things work in my mind is that I can internalize one thing and make it real. Mm-hmm. And so I internalized a lot of things that was going on in the house and made it real. My kids hate me, my ex-wife hate me, this and that, the dogs, messing up everything. So I had to realize, I had to take a step back and like unload some of the stuff and go like, look, okay, they don't hate me. Why would they hate me? What have I done? And I had to ask myself these questions. And then when I couldn't find an answer, then I realized that, you know what, it's not real. And that's the moment when clarity comes back into my life.
And I believe that's probably the work you've done with counseling. Just take that step back and look at that thought. My kids hate me. Do they really hate me? And you look at the facts. No, they don't hate me. That was just a negative thought. And that's from I'm assuming that's just from all the great work you've done with counseling to do that.
Yes, and just listening to a lot of counseling, counselors and psychiatrists talk. It's it's a lot of great knowledge out there, but the problem is the way it's being presented. It's like it gets instead of like my psychologist, I had to make them understand that they got to do bits and pieces. Don't give me all of this. Let's pick a little part and let's talk about that and keep going. Because then I learn what they are talking about. I learned that 90 seconds. I've heard 90 seconds or 60 seconds or 90. I do 90 seconds. I know they say 60, but I just do that extra 30 just in case. And,
just in case.
Yeah, because I never heard it before. I never heard the 60 before because it got blurred with so much information. And when you start breaking little things down out of the conversation, and that's one of the things that my beautiful mind does is it only takes certain much knowledge or thing then because a lot of times if somebody talk too long, all I hear is the bad things, bits and pieces, and then I tell people that I work with or talking to, ask me, what did you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, so that I have to repeat back what I heard, and that's when you're making ground. So I've learned to ask myself that as I'm in a conversation with people.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Something good to remember.
Let's go back to the beginning. You talk about mental illness and the thing that you have to go through, and we like to call it as mental wellness, that there's a positive and we're moving forward in the right direction. So with that in mind, I just wonder, Charles, if you might share with our audience, you were diagnosed with being bipolar and what have you, but when did you really realize that you might have some mental issues, some mental illness, just agitation or whatever it might be, to whatever degree? When did this all first come out?
Everybody look at the NFL. I didn't have friends as a kid. It was
Growing up as a kid?
Yeah, it was. I didn't like my brothers. I pretty much by myself. I just didn't feel inept. My brothers knew were better athletes, better everything than I was, and I got to a point in my life where I just didn't want to keep going, and I tried to commit suicide, but it didn't work, and at that moment, I fell on my knees and I said, God, just give me one thing to be great at. And he gave me football. But he also gave me something else. He gave me a reason to live. Because I know now, because I studied the word, is that I can't have a relationship with God if I commit suicide. So I make men, women, kids, whoever I talk to about mental illness, they have to sit there for 30 minutes while I'm talking and come up with one reason to live. Because you can give me 99 reasons to die. Mm-hmm. All I want is one to live. Mm-hmm. And if you grab the hold of that apple, no matter what happens, you can get through it. But if you don't have a reason, or if your reason, because I love my parents, that's not a reason. So I had to come up with that. In football, that's a great cover story for people with with issues like that, because you're violent. If I go, okay, he's just a football player, yeah. And but Coach McMillan in college, man, I was over the top when it comes to that part, and he sent me to Dr. Wallace, Dr. Nelson. She was she taught psychiatry, so I would go see her at different times. But they never labeled me. I didn't understand. He said, just you need somebody just to be able to talk to, release some of the anger and stuff. But nobody ever said, "Hey, Charles, you might be dealing with A, B, or C." But the reason that happens is they believe that I shut down. I close them out because it's been too many times in my life people said I had mental illness or something, and I didn't believe it. So you know what? You became my enemy. Mm-hmm. And my ex-wife, she did it my second year in the league. She came in, put the books there, papers, and said, "You're a manic depressant." And I said, she's just like all these guys at work. So then our relationship started going south quickly because I believed in her 100%. No matter what she did, I would stand there with her, and I felt like she won against me. So, but that's the biggest thing right there. And if I had the one thing that really, as an athlete, is that little kid inside that's screaming for help, but you're with a bunch of alpha dogs, and you realize that if you tell them that's blood in the water, and those guys going to attack you, they see weaknesses, they attack weaknesses, and so you learn to hide it, to shield it. But the only person you shield it from is yourself, because everybody else sees it.
Right. So that place you were in denial for. I mean, people are telling you this, but you're like not hearing it, right?
Yes.
So, and I think a lot of people today, not just like with addiction, I can handle it. No, there's nothing wrong with me. And they say that denial place. When did you shift out of denial, and what caused you to shift to say, you know what, I do have a problem and I need help?
Yeah, when I quit playing, I started doing drugs and alcohol, and I got addicted, and so I lost everything. I lost my family, my kids, my relationships, and my best friend, and Michael Carter, they came up and they told me I was going to a center, but I've been to rehabs, but I went to a drug diagnosis center, and they treated my mental illness, and I got there, and it was so transformative that I knew everything about drugs and how it works against the mind and stuff, but I never knew how my brain was causing it. And all the other stuff disappeared overnight. The alcohol, drugs, none of that. I could go around it, be around it, whatever. It never comes up in my mind anymore. Once I got my mental illness in check, I could see the world. I could make choices. I never could make choices because I never saw out the window. It was always me against the world. It was never.
It's kind of like reactive all the time.
Yeah,
right?
that's the way I lived in.
I remember going into the locker room when you played with the Cowboys, and I mean, here's a team that's going to the Super Bowl in the early '90s, basically every year. And 92, 93, 95, you win 3 Super Bowl rings in 4 years, first team to ever do so. And of course, you had won some in the 80s with the 49ers. So I mean, you were a champion. You were a guy that had been there and done that. And yet there were a lot of members of the media and other people I knew that say, "Oh man, stay away from Haley. He's, God, he'll be all over you. I don't know why he's so mad at, he's always ticked off at the world." And my major in college was psychology. And I wondered at that time, I never, I knew when to go to you and when to leave you alone. And I could tell there was just something. Now I wasn't, I didn't have the PhD degree that the good doctor has, but you could tell, you could sense that something wasn't right. And I kind of felt badly for you because you could see there were a lot of demons inside you. I don't know where they came from and what they were all about, but you just knew that there was something. And yet, since that time, and since you've, as you say, have turned it around, you're one of the nicest guys I know. And I've told you that before. You're there for the nonprofits. You're there to help other people. That you're there for the philanthropy in the children's groups or whatever in the community that need help. I pick up the phone. "Hey, Charles, what do you think?" Even when I called you for the radio show, would you come over and share your message? You said, "Of course, Scott. I want to try and help and share my message with other people that find themselves in the same predicament I was in a few years ago."
Yeah.
Well, where'd all that come from?
Well, you know what? I was the nicest guy I knew too. I still am. Hey, if you can't love yourself, nobody else will.
Oh, there you go.
I just, Scott. I look at everything. I probably did everything that ever came to my mind over my lifetime. Everything that ever popped up in my head, I've done, and I want to spend this side of my life doing things that I should have done, and not living in regret, because that keeps me in the past.
Yeah.
But keep me where I'm sending blessings forward, and being a blessing. And so that's what it is. It's just setting down, understanding my relationship with God, and how He wants me to be better. And people think it's easy to get up and talk about what you're going through. My family won't talk to you about it. They won't go on a show and say, what my dad went through or my ex-wife. They still hesitant, still in the closet about it, although I speak it to the world. So that, that stigma is something that's really powerful. Even the person with the mental illness can talk about it, but the family won't talk about it. And that's one of the things that bothers me, but I understand they lived it. And maybe that brings up too many negative thoughts. But as I told them, when I came out of treatment, I told them that I'm not gonna, I wrote them a letter, told them all the things I regret. And when I got home, I sat down and I told them that, I'm not gonna live with one foot in the grave and one foot going forward. I said, either you get on this bus with me, move forward, or you stay behind. But I can't do that. And that's one of the things that people don't understand is that, you make mistakes, you do things. Don't look back. That shit is gonna always be there. It's gonna be back there. And when you look back, now it's in front of you. So I don't look back. I don't look back at the things I've done in my past. When I want to go in my path, I take 2 steps back and break the people's feet behind me, and then so they can go in the back of the line because it's a line back there. And so that's, for me, that's how I take myself back to reflect on my journey. But I'll never turn around and look.
I think what you said just about your parents, because they're not really accepting of this, right? Of talking about mental illness, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's good for viewers to hear because it's not holding you back. You wrote them a letter, probably just telling them how you feel or something like that, and you're giving it to them.
That was my kids and that was kids and my ex-wife. I did that.
The letter.
Yeah, because I was married and stuff, and my parents, I did that to my parents, and I sent them. All of them got about the same thing, but my mom and dad, they live in the country, and they don't interact with people to be able to do it. It's like 50, 60 people in my town, so it's not like that. The toughest thing is people. I want to talk about it, but you know what? It drains me. It brings up a lot, and I want people to understand. I want people to feel what I've been through, understand, the pain, the anger that was inside, the rage. Yeah, I want them to understand that, but shit, it takes a lot out of you to be able to express that, and because in that expression, you giving your pain to somebody else so that they can relieve their pain. And so it gets me sometimes emotional and stuff because I know that I have to do it. It ain't that I want to do it. I know that I have to do it. I have to help people understand that I'm tore up from the floor up and that I'm not the one to look up to. I'm not the one to look up to unless you're dealing with mental illness and refuse to accept it. And the biggest thing too, that if you can't get your patient to say I have a mental illness, they don't believe it. People come to me and say I'm bipolar. I said, well, do you have a mental illness? They said, well, I'm bipolar. I said, no. Do you have a mental illness? And when they finally say I have a mental illness, then you take in responsibility for it.
Right.
And so, and for me, that's what I had to do. I had to admit that I had a mental illness. I had to admit, because at that time, people was telling me I was bipolar. But the moment I admitted to myself and to another person that I have a mental illness, game changer.
Yeah. How'd that feel once you accepted it and said it? How did that feel inside, and how did that change you?
It was game changer. I was so happy. I didn't want to leave the place because I've never felt that kind of peace and calm.
Yeah, you felt liberated. It felt good.
I've never felt that before in my life, and it was, shit. It was. I can't even put it in words, man. I've never felt like that ever in my whole life.
Just a sense of relief.
Yeah, it was joy, man. I never had that before. I didn't know what that was. I thought that was just a word someone made up.
Do you see a point someplace in your life that your family might all get to that same place? Whether it's your kids, your whoever it might be that's close to you?
Well, I think my younger two kids, they understand Dad, and we have jokes, Dad crazy and stuff like that, but my older two kids, they've been through it. I think that they probably need, I try to talk to them, and they don't want to listen. I try to tell them, okay, your dad was an alcoholic drug addict, and so you might be preconceived to these things, and my oldest daughter, but at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do something. No. All I can do is be a poster child and say, look, you know what? I raised my hand. I have a mental illness. I raised my hand. I've done all the dumb stuff. I raised my hand. I said, I'm the biggest crybaby in the world. But you know what? That outer shell of mine, you'll never know. That sensitivity that dwells with me, that love and passion that I want to give out, I can't do it because I keep feeling like if I do it, then people are going to take advantage of it. And that's the way I always felt in my whole life is that if I give a little bit, then they're going to take, it's always they was going to take it, and so I never gave up, never backed up, backed down.
Yeah, and that was your mindset in the past, but what is it today now?
My mindset today now is to pick, every time I look down, is pick somebody up. So I'm looking forward to doing it.
Yeah.
And that's how I go down in the community. So and I still, when I can, talk about mental illness because this, it's, poverty, education is a big social justice, but mental illness is something that's overwhelming America. And people keep looking up to sports fans as heroes. My mom and dad was my hero. I never had a hero until I saw Mean Joe Green throw that jersey, and then after that, he's mine. I'm gonna go see him later on the day. He had a hip surgery, so let's pray for him. But that's it. You just have to every day. You gotta have purpose. When I'm feeling depressed, I go to Starbucks. A lady come in, I buy her coffee. And she go, oh my God, that's the nice thing anybody ever did for me. And I'll sit and we'll talk. And so at the ones I go to, people know me now. So we just sit and talk. And it just, I ain't helping you. You helping me.
Yeah,
you taking me
good.
out of myself. But you got to understand, that's the other thing that I get mad about. You know your cycles. If you burning that counter up here, it's going to come down. And you got to know, you got to stop burning it so it don't come all the way down.
That's really good because I think right now people go, or if they have mental illness, they're not acknowledging where they're at or, their struggles. And you just said, I was feeling kind of depressed. So you step back and you reflect, what should I do? I'll go to Starbucks, but you have a plan.
Right.
And some people don't have a plan. They just sit there and I'm just depressed. Yeah. And so you've taught yourself ways and strategies on how to help yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't get to that place.
Depression comes, you want to lay in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to get out of bed, and the moment I look at the clock, if it's 6:30, I'm still in bed. Oh, something going on because I'm my dog looking at me going like, "What's up?" You need to be out of here, and then I'll find a reason, and I have to find little things to bring me joy, to bring me peace, and it's not me being selfish all the time, but sometimes I have to be selfish.
Self-care.
I have to pull myself out.
Yeah.
And by letting others do it, the others people's smiles, their smiles, their joy, pull me out of depression more times than I can count, and it continuously to do it.
Yeah, those smiles matter. Just to smile to somebody that matters.
Yeah.
I want to say something to Scott about you. Is you knew him back in the day. I didn't know you personally like you did, and you see him sitting here now. And what I see sitting across from you is I sense peace, I sense joy, I sense just vulnerability and openness, just feels so good. And I'm wondering if you see a transformation.
Well, there's no question.
That's what I see.
Well, I said before,
Just had to say that.
When you used to walk in the locker room, you'd see different players that you wanted to interview after a ball game.
Yeah.
And you'd see Charles over there and you go, not going over there.
Yeah.
And, some guys would give him grief on it, and and I said, there's some issues right there. I don't know totally what they are.
But you're
I had some
yeah.
ideas, but he played a good game. You got to remember, this guy's in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
This guy's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That doesn't happen for everybody coming down the pike. That's pretty good stuff. It's as good as it gets. And yet he had some issues off the field. And I just knew that, maybe, and I thought this to myself, maybe when he's done playing, hopefully he'll seek the help that he needs and can move forward in that positive, productive way with his life and be happy about who he is and what he's all about.
Yeah.
And yet that kind of takes me to the next question. After the pandemic we've gone through, and you would know the statistics, Nina, better than I would, but the good doctor has, I'm sure, dealt with a lot of young people in your career, in your life as a PhD. And I think to myself, what we've seen with the young people, the suicide rate has gone right through the roof with the pandemic, and
Sad.
especially it's from 14 to 24, high school, college age kids. If you had somebody right here, you talked about the fact the most important thing that you like to see from someone that's having some issues, that, hey, admit to themselves and believe it and understand it and move forward, but I have mental illness. Not I do whatever this, but I have mental illness. Okay, now you've admitted it, now let's move forward. How about you? If you had a young man here that's, say, high school or college age, or even a little younger than that, Charles,
16.
what would you say to that 16-year-old? What would you say to them? Okay, you've got some, but these are the things, 1, 2, 3, whatever. These are the things that you've got to do beginning right now in your life.
Hey, Scott, number one, I don't judge. Well,
I don't want you to judge. I just want you to help them.
That's what I'm saying. The first thing you understand is I don't judge people. I'm not a psychiatrist or counselor. What I want you to know is what I've been through. Now, if this is similar to what you're going through, then seek help.
Very good.
Okay?
I like that.
I don't. The moment you label the kid, they close up. I just helped a young lady get into treatment, and the mom sitting there, she going, the psychiatrists only want money. I said, so every time, you just gave your daughter out. So every time she don't like something, she'll say, oh, the psychiatrist just wanted money. The parents give that kid, that's the problem. And most of the parents they ask me to talk with that kid, they got to go. Because they don't let the kid talk. They tell you how the kid feels, what he's doing, what medicine he's on. The kid doesn't talk. And how can you deal with anything if you don't allow that person to have a voice?
Yeah.
The moment you start telling them, you take that voice away. I want to give them that voice. Hey, talk to me. Stop. Hey, you don't want to talk to me today? Fine. I said, I'm going to talk for a while. I'm going to give you my number. And guess what? I ain't calling you. You call me. And guess what? They don't call me for a couple of weeks. Then they'll call me and start talking. And then they'll ask me, where did I go? Where did I get help at? And I'll tell them, and I'll give them the number. I say, it's on you now. You have to allow people to take control of their own life. And, the other thing that I tell them too is that I went through like 3 or 4 psychiatrists and 2 or 3 counselors before I found the one that fit. There's no one shoe that fit all. You have to feel comfortable enough to sit there in your own skin and tell the damn truth. The moment you can't tell the truth, stop what you're doing, leave, go find somebody else. Because this is not a game. This is life or death. And you should stop playing Russian roulette with your life.
I'm glad you said that, because I think some people try counseling once and they're like, it doesn't work for me, but maybe they didn't find the right counselor for them.
Correct.
And you had to find a few before you felt safe and secure to share your story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I always share. It's just that it's a feeling you get, but you have to step out. You have to be vulnerable. You gotta be vulnerable, and you'll know when that feeling hit that damn, they listen to me. I want to go. You know what? I can't wait to go. Doctor by name. You know what I'm saying? It's just like those little things. But we have to give patients their voice. We have to stop telling them what they need.
Yeah.
They need to seek the help. They need to open their mouth, ask for help. If they ask for help, they're already admitting they got a problem.
Yeah, that's a big
Now,
first step.
just putting a name on that problem is the next thing. But once you say, I have a problem, then they know that they have to deal with something. And the thing I tell them is, there ain't no easy road. There's no easy road.
Yeah.
I said, hell, if there was an easy road, I would have been in the Hall of Fame years ago if I could have found that easy road.
Yeah.
I said, there is no easy road. And I said,
No.
you're going to have ups and downs, but hey, you can make it.
Yeah, it's work. It's work,
Yeah.
but you can make it. And
It's
having
every day is work. You know, it's not easy. I get manicky. I get depressed when, I get in that angry mood, and then I have to tell myself, you know what, Charles? Hey, you want me to ruin everybody's day today? Are you going to ruin everybody's day? Or are you going to pull your head out your ass? What are you going to
Yeah.
do? I have to,
The choice.
My kids get mad because I talk through conversations out loud because I need to hear it. And then, I can react towards it. And so, I'll be telling myself, hey, you know what? We're going to this meeting. Yeah, you feeling like crap, but you know what? Hey, you need to get this done. This is what you need to get done. And I'm able to hear that and take that and go to the next level with it. So, I don't want don't answer. When you talk to yourself, don't answer it too now. So they may really think you messed up then. So, but you have to find little things to do that to help you be great at your everyday life.
Yeah. And
And that's the most important. Your everyday life is the most important thing that you can have.
I think that's what the show is. It's about mental wellness. That's what you're doing, is you're just making sure you're mentally okay every day, checking in with yourself and doing what you need to do to stay in that good place for yourself and for others. That's what I'm hearing that you're saying.
Well, I don't know what I'm saying. All I can tell you, this is what I
stuff.
do on a daily basis. I refuse to go backwards, man. You know what? I lived in so much damn pain and hate and anger, revenge. Hey, never the joy. I never, like I said, I never knew what that was. I thought that was, happiness. If I'd have learned, man, you know what? I'll still be married if I'd have found some of that. All I did was just hate, and then put more hate on it, and and just hide.
Yeah.
That's all I did. I was the best Houdini in the world, dog. I could hide from everybody and everything.
And now you're open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just very humble and just very real and authentic. And I think that everyone needs to see it, especially men today. And I think the stigma in the athletic world, I think men are starting to talk more. And I think it's because of stories like yours. People are sharing. What are your responses you're getting from people that hear your story, from the athletes? Are they encouraged to speak up about their mental health, or what are you getting as far as feedback?
I don't. What guys do is they talk to me about their cousin. My cousin's going through this. Basically, they telling me that this is what's going on in their head. So I just jack them up and take them to the damn counselor and make them go talk to them.
Yeah.
Life is simple, man. Hell, I didn't see that help like that when I was there. Don't ask me for advice. Mm-hmm. Players, see, athletes are different than normal people because we in that dog alpha male crap where I ain't gonna bend. Instead of realizing, you know what, hey, it's bigger than just us. Because if you can work on this part, it'll increase the other part. The greatest thing that, as I was telling me, is that I had a way of controlling my breathing and stuff, so it made everything clear. So when the bullets are flying, hey, I was the calmest. I could think, I could understand everything because I just relaxed. They always say, "Oh, you're bipolar, so I guess that's what made you great." No, I picked and choose when I want to use violence and anger. Mm-hmm. I picked and choose the moves that I did. I picked and choose. I worked at my task. Mm-hmm. You can be great at your job, but still suffer with a mental illness because that mental illness go home with you.
Yeah.
Hey, your work might stay at your job, but you know what? What's going home with you? What are you passing to your wife, your kids, roommate, girlfriend? What are you doing there? That's when it gets you, because we put a mask on at work, and then we get home, we start letting them, because we think that person loves us, so we think like, yeah, we can let that window down, and they don't like what they see,
Yeah.
and so I try my best to be an advocate. Dak came out, talked about his dealing with depression and stuff, and loss of his brother. You got the kid from the Lakers came out. You got more athletes, more stars coming out.
It's great.
The problem is there's a lot more people dealing with it. If we can, I don't want to put it on the stage as Charles Haley, football player. I want to put it as Charles Haley, human being that grew up, is my environment causing this, because I grew up poor. Is that part of it, because a lot of players I talk to, and they talk about growing up being hit with cords, their parents, drug addicts or prostitutes, all that kind of stuff. Now, that's, that don't make, but that's PTSD or trauma.
Yeah.
So, they don't talk anymore. That damn cell phone has made us dumb. That cell phone nobody talks to each other anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You go in the locker room,
They're looking
you go in the
down.
locker room, they
Yes.
looking down. That's
Yeah.
it. So how can you know what's going on in your brother's house when you got your eyes down on the phone? So that's one of the biggest things too, is that we have allowed our kids to let technology take over their mind.
Let me ask you this, Charles. Are you going to be in Canton, Ohio this summer when Jimmy Johnson goes in?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to be most proud of the fact that you're one of the Cowboys. You're one of the players in the NFL that's going to be up there forever as a part of that Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
Well, you know what? I got the chance because I ran into me and Jimmy butted head. I got a chance.
Well, I know you did. That's why I asked you that question.
To sit down with him, man, and we talked, man, and I teared up, man, because you know what? We had the same goal, but the difference was, he was an alpha male and I was an alpha male, and there can only be one, and hell, so we was fighting to see who that one gonna be, and I wasn't gonna give up, and that wasn't right to what I did and how I talked to the man, and I wanted him to know my regrets. I didn't want him to know I'm sorry, because I'm not sorry. I regret my action, because you know what? I see what you wanted to do, and I was doing the same things you were doing, but yet I'm holding you accountable for that. And so we got to do that, man. And he introduced me to his wife, man, and that's when I knew that the floodgates of love was open after that. And and when he went in, I saw him at the San Francisco game, and I gave him the biggest hug, man. And it's just a joy, man. He got us to the house twice.
Right.
And if he'd have stayed in, you never know.
So what would you like, with all that you've gone through and all that you have shared with us today, what would you like your legacy to be? How would you like people to remember who Charles Haley was, and what you have meant to the game of football and what you have meant to this community?
To be honest with you, I don't even want to be known as a football player. I want to be known as a little country boy that came out of Gladys, that went to college, reading 3 grade levels behind, that had to, work so hard to get his college degree. I gave James Madison my Hall of Fame bus because of that, because I want every damn kid to walk through there to understand how important it is to get an education. And it's not for me, for them to know that I went to Hall of Fame. The purpose of the stuff is to let those kids know, because they were running their mouth about they want to get paid. Hell, you getting paid. That was the greatest privilege I have ever had bestowed upon me, was the gift of getting a higher learning. And they made me work for it. and that was one of the beautiful things. And so I just want people to know that it doesn't matter where you come from. Hey, it doesn't mean that's the end of your story. Your story is going to keep being written.
Yeah.
Every day is a new play, and I just want people to see that a man can walk on the on the wrong side of the road for 10, 20, 30 years, and he can make a change.
Yeah.
And in that change, he can change others. And that change changes even more. And I just want to be a part of that little bit of change. Like I tell my board members, all I want to do is be the track to spare the direction. But, everybody else can be everything else. I just want to help in the direction that I believe that we should do.
Yeah. You want to give people hope, encouragement, and hope. We need it.
Hey.
Yeah.
That was the best answer you could have given. I wondered what you'd say. I wasn't looking for a football answer. I was looking for a Charles Haley answer about life and about your life. Yeah. Football's a part of it, but your whole life and the legacy that you would like people to, when they see that bust up there and they go, I remember him.
Yeah. Sometimes I sit back and I go like, damn, I wonder if I'd accepted I had a mental illness. I wonder how things would turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I say, shut up. Hey, don't destroy the story, baby. Don't do it.
This is where. Okay, I want to ask you a couple of questions at the very end. Okay, just complete this sentence. What keeps me hopeful is?
People.
People.
People keeps me hopeful.
Okay. What I wish for others
is the joy and the peace that I found.
Oh, that's good. Gosh, that's awesome. To be able to have that joy. That's awesome. I wish that for everybody listening and watching us today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You knew I was going to say this at the end.
What?
You did a great job.
Your wife can come give me a great kiss. Huh? She's so fine. She's so fine. Miss Mary, hey, Scott always get jealous.
No. Well, we should tell him. We don't have a picture, but every time Charles is at a function that I happen to be emceeing, or we're there, talking like we are now in front of an audience, he spots my wife Carol, and he goes, "Carol, how are you?" And he lifts her up, and he lifts. She's 5 feet off the ground, and she adores you. She thinks you're great. She likes your heart.
Hey,
she likes your heart.
Great family, Scott, and when you call on me, I answer the bell. No matter what, man, because you know what? You have a great heart. You do a lot of great things, and you bring a lot of joy to a lot of people, and you've done a lot of great things. And, people need to stand back and respect all the things you've done and all the things you continually do. Mm-hmm. And I just, I'm just happy you let me in your world every once in a while. I was still trying to get your address so I can go down there and see your wife more, but you won't do that though. I love you, man. Hey, let me quit playing for people think I'm real, okay?
Well, let me tell you something. It goes both ways. I'd do anything for you, and I can't thank you enough for stopping by. We really appreciate it. Dr. Nina and I are just delighted. Yeah. So thank you. Continued success, and stay strong, and be the great guy that you are.
Well, thank y'all. I appreciate it.
So glad you're here. Thank you.
Be blessed.
Yep. Conversations of Connection. That's the name of the program. My name is Scott Murray.
And I'm Dr. Nina Rios-Doria.
And we'll see you next time. Again, our thanks to the Hall of Famer in both life and in football, Charles Haley.
Peace.